The bridge is not the crossing. So say that again and let it land. The bridge, the steel, the cable, the engineering, the years of labor and capital and municipal planning, the bridge is not the crossing. The crossing is why the bridge exists. The crossing is the point. The bridge is the means. The bridge is, in the most precise philosophical sense, disposable. Not because it isn't impressive, not because it doesn't matter, but because its entire value is derived from something it is not. From the getting to the other side, from the arrival, from what waits beyond the span. The suit of clothes is not the warmth. It's not the dignity. It's not the covering that the human body in its vulnerability actually needs. It's the means by which that need is addressed. It's the fabric cut and sewn into a form that serves something it cannot itself provide. A suit that never clothes a body has accomplished nothing. A suit that is mistaken for the point, that is preserved, displayed, curated, fetishized as an end in itself, while the body that needs covering goes cold, that suit becomes something worse than useless. It's become a distraction wearing the appearance of a solution. The super collider is not the physics. It's the 12 miles of superconducting magnets and decades of theoretical preparation and billions in accumulated institutional investment. And it's nothing. It has no meaning, no value, no justification for its existence, except insofar as it opens a window into something it is not. Onto the structure of matter, onto the deep grammar of physical reality, onto the substance beneath the surface that would be there whether the machine existed or not. The word fire is not fire. The map is not the territory. The symbol is not the substance. And the human being, made in the image of the divine, stamped with the imprint of something infinitely beyond itself, the human being is not God. These are not the same kind of statements, but they are the same kind of structure. And that structure is the key to understanding almost everything that has gone wrong. A symbol does three things, not one, three. It points, it gestures toward the thing it is not, and in doing so, it makes that thing accessible. The word fire lets you talk about fire to someone who can't see it. The map lets you navigate territory you haven't yet walked. The bridge lets you reach the far side before you've crossed. This is the symbol's primary function. It makes the real available to human engagement before human engagement has fully arrived at the real. It enables, not merely by pointing, but by creating conditions for approach. The bridge doesn't just point at the crossing, it makes the crossing possible. The symbol is not merely a sign, it's a conduit. It carries something across. It is, in its healthy functioning, transparent to the substance, like a clean window, which you don't look at but look through, and which serves its purpose precisely by disappearing in your attention. And it disposes. This is the one nobody talks about, and it is the most important. The symbol, when it is functioning correctly, holds itself lightly. It is means aware. It knows what it is for. It does not accumulate gravity in itself. The good bridge engineer does not love the bridge for the bridge's sake. He is satisfied when people cross. The good tailor does not mourn when the coat is worn and weather-beaten. That is what he made it for. The symbol that serves its function is, in the end, spent on the substance, used up in the act of pointing. And this is not loss, this is completion. The tragedy, the historical tragedy, the political tragedy, the personal tragedy begins when the symbol forgets its purpose, when it begins to refer only to itself, when the bridge becomes a monument, when the suit becomes the status, when the credential becomes the competence, when the ritual becomes the reality, when the institution becomes the mission, when the map is mistaken for the land. At that point, the symbol doesn't become independent, it becomes hollow. And a hollow symbol, still carrying the form of meaning, still draped in the vocabulary of purpose, is not merely useless. It is the most dangerous thing in the world. Because it occupies the space where the real thing should be. And it looks enough like the real thing to prevent the search. Here's a physical fact that is almost a philosophical truth. All human constructs are entropic. Every symbol, by nature of being a human-made thing, runs down. The bridge corrodes, the suit frays, the institution calcifies, the language drifts, the metaphor dies. Now, this is not a direct in any particular symbol. It is the structural condition of everything finite. The construct is bounded. It has a lifespan. It is not self-sustaining. Now, this is fine. This is fine as long as the symbol knows what it is for, because the substance it points toward is not entropic. The crossing remains after the bridge has rusted. The warmth is real whether or not the coat is new. The physics is there before the collider is built and will be there after it is decommissioned. The substance does not run down with the symbol. And so a civilization that keeps its symbols in honest relationship with the substance they point toward can refresh the symbols when they decay, can build new bridges, make new coats, develop new instruments, because the substance is still there, unchanged, still real, still supplying the criterion by which the new symbol can be judged adequate or inadequate. Now, the catastrophe, the civilizational catastrophe that this series of scripts is trying to name and locate is what happens when a civilization loses its grip on the substance and invests its entire energy in the maintenance, elaboration, and defense of the symbol. Because now the entropy of the construct is no longer compensated by the inexhaustibility of the substance. Now it's running on itself. And when a symbol is running on itself, when it's drawing not from the real it was made to point toward, but from its own internal momentum, two things happen simultaneously. First, the outputs degrade. The things produced are less substantial, less durable, less genuinely useful than what came before. The later versions of the construct are more sophisticated and less load-bearing, more elaborate and less real. The vocabulary grows more precise as the referent grows more elusive. Second, and this is the part that makes it catastrophic rather than merely sad, the investment intensifies. Because the symbol is now all you have. You can't afford to let it fail. You can't afford to admit it is running down. And so the energy poured into maintaining the appearance of vitality in the symbol increases precisely as the actual vitality diminishes. More enforcement, more insistence, more elaborate defense of the construct against any contact with the real that might reveal the gap between them. This is the dynamic driving the most ferocious cultural conflicts of this moment. Not disagreement about policy, not disagreement about facts, the desperate, furious energy of a symbol that has cut itself off from its substance and is now defending that severance as though its life depends on it, because at this stage it does. History does not end well for this project. It has never ended well for this project. And it has been tried in different forms many times. Every civilization that has mistaken the symbol for the substance, that has taken the human construct for the final reality, the made thing for the given thing, the representation for what it was supposed to represent, has arrived at the same destination. Not immediately, not before an impressive run, but eventually, and with a consistency that should constitute evidence by now. It ends in fire and madness. The fire is not always literal, though sometimes it is. It's the conflagration that follows when the gap between the symbol's claims and the real resistance becomes impossible to manage anymore. When the construct, insisting on its own sufficiency, meets a reality that does not share its self-assessment. When the bridge that was maintained for its own sake collapses under the weight of people who still actually needed to cross. The madness is not always clinical, though the line between metaphor and diagnosis is closer than we have yet admitted in public. It's what happens to a mind, individual or collective, that has fully committed to a world in which the symbol is the substance, that has decided that the real is whatever we sufficiently assert, that nature is infinitely malleable to human will, that the construct can replace the given if only the enforcement is thorough enough, that mind has not achieved liberation, that mind has achieved severance, and a mind severed from the real is not free, it is lost. The tradition we're discussing, the one that holds the diagnosis and the remedy, has a word for the civilizational form of this condition. It's called idolatry. Not in the limited sense of bowing to a carved image, though that is where the vocabulary comes from. In the structural sense, the worship of the made thing, the investment of ultimate trust and ultimate significance in a human construct, the refusal to look through the symbol toward the substance it was made to point at. And the prophetic literature, what was written before any of our current ideological frameworks were assembled, is relentless on one point about idols. They do not speak. They do not move. They do not save. They are real objects carrying false meaning, and the people who stake their lives on them do not get what they were promised. They get the object, the inert, entropic, eventually crumbling object, stripped of the substance that was never actually in it. And so we come back to the deepest case. A human being is the most important symbol in the created order, made in the image, stamped with the imprint of the divine. designed to point toward, to represent, to make accessible, and present in the material world himself and his creator the nature of a God who is not material. This is the account of the creature in the opening of the story we were given. Not autonomous, not self-explaining, not the source of its own significance, a symbol. The most sophisticated, most glorious, most capable symbol ever made, and a symbol nonetheless. What this means, and this is not a limitation, it's a design specification, is that the human being draws its power from outside itself. That its capacity for creativity, for love, for genuine transcendence, for the kind of flourishing that actually vaults humanity past its natural ceiling, is not generated internally. It's received. It comes through the relationship between the symbol and the substance it was made to represent and connect with. When that relationship holds, what the human being produces is astonishing. The cathedrals, the music, the science that is genuinely open to the real, the ethics that can restrain power because it answers to something above power, the love that gives without counting cost because it has access to a source that does not run down. When that relationship is severed, when the human symbol turns from the divine substance and begins to insist on its own self-sufficiency, its own ultimacy, its own status as the final and generating reality, it does not become more, it becomes less. Rapidly or slowly, visibly or imperceptibly, it begins the entropic curve that all symbols follow when they are cut from what they were made to carry. And when an entire civilization agrees to make that severance its founding premise, agrees as a structural matter that the human construct is the final reality and that there is no substance beyond it, no given that precedes and grounds the made, no real that the symbol is answerable to, that civilization has not achieved the Enlightenment. It has begun the long arc toward fire and madness that history, with the patience of a geologist and the mercy of a surgeon, keeps trying to show us. The bridge is not the crossing. So say that again and let it land. The bridge, the steel, the cable, the engineering, the years of labor and capital and municipal planning, the bridge is not the crossing. The crossing is why the bridge exists. The crossing is the point. The bridge is the means. The bridge is, in the most precise philosophical sense, disposable. Not because it isn't impressive, not because it doesn't matter, but because its entire value is derived from something it is not. From the getting to the other side, from the arrival, from what waits beyond the span. The suit of clothes is not the warmth. It's not the dignity. It's not the covering that the human body in its vulnerability actually needs. It's the means by which that need is addressed. It's the fabric cut and sewn into a form that serves something it cannot itself provide. A suit that never clothes a body has accomplished nothing. A suit that is mistaken for the point, that is preserved, displayed, curated, fetishized as an end in itself, while the body that needs covering goes cold, that suit becomes something worse than useless. It's become a distraction wearing the appearance of a solution. The super collider is not the physics. It's the 12 miles of superconducting magnets and decades of theoretical preparation and billions in accumulated institutional investment and it's nothing. It has no meaning, no value, no justification for its existence, except insofar as it opens a window into something it is not. Onto the structure of matter, onto the deep grammar of physical reality, onto the substance beneath the surface that would be there whether the machine existed or not. The word fire is not fire. The map is not the territory. The symbol is not the substance. And the human being, made in the image of the divine, stamped with the imprint of something infinitely beyond itself, the human being is not God. These are not the same kind of statements, but they are the same kind of structure. And that structure is the key to understanding almost everything that has gone wrong.